Hello and welcome to episode 245 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is September 23rd. And today I'm wearing my second Viajante. Viajante is a Portuguese word and it means traveler. And I think this is one of Martina Beem's most famous design. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's definitely one of my sister's favorite designs by Martina Beem. And she has probably knit almost a dozen of them, half of which she kept and half of which she gave away. I've only knit two. And she's knit one for me, and for that one I knit the lace bit at the end. I did myself, but she knitted the rest of it. But this was the second time I knit this pattern, and the project is called Edel-Viajante, which means edel is something if it's very fine, very precious. And I called it that because this is knit out of 3 different yarns, one of them being a pure silk, one of them being a pure wool, and the third yarn is a mix of mohair and silk. And the pure silk and wool were dyed, were plant dyed. I'm not quite sure about the mohair silk, how that was dyed, but all 3 colors were very, very similar. So you can see a stripy pattern. And at the beginning, so I started off with the pure silk because that had the most yardage. Then I crocheted around the edge with mohair silk. And then I did a 3 stripe pattern. So I would do 1 round of silk, 1 round of wool, and 1 round of mohair. And I repeated this until the mohair silk ran out because I only had 200 grams of that. And I had 100 grams of the other 2. And once the mohair yarn was gone, I just did a 2 stripe pattern of wool and silk. And I can never tell where the mohair stopped, so it's not very obvious. And then I ended again with just the pure silk for the lace pattern, and there I chose a different pattern than a different lace pattern than the original pattern has, and I added some beads again because I just love to have beads in my knitting and especially in my Viajante. And I chose clear beads. So they are almost invisible, but if the light hits them the right way, you can see that in this stripe, there's fewer beads up on top and then many beads coming down. And then there's the last bead is in the picot bind off. Is it a picot bind off? No, it's not. It's just in the lace pattern. And because the lace pattern forms these scallops, there's a bead at the tip of all those wavy thingies. Don't know how to explain. I think you can see the beads if you look really closely. I love them. I love to have them there. I don't mind that they're almost invisible. If I'm outside in the sunshine, they're really rather visible and sparkly and nice. And they give just this little bit of weight to the shawl. And if you look at the Viajante like this, it's just a very long asymmetrical triangular shawl that you can either wear just around your shoulders or you can wrap it around your neck. And then I love to have this lacy bit in front to show off the silk yarn and the beads. But as most of you will already know, the Viajante is knit in the round. So this is a double layer. It's just because the yarn is so fine that it doesn't really, you don't really notice because, it's fairly thin. But as it is knit in the round, I can actually put my head through and wear it either like a cowl or like a little poncho. So because this is very fine yarn, I can just wrap this end around like this and then it's just a big cowl. But I also love wearing this like a poncho and then pulling it down. And I like to have the long tip either to the side and then it goes down to my calf below my knee. And then it's almost like wearing a light pullover. Or sometimes I will put the tip to my back and then I'll have the shorter edge in the front so I can move my arms, but my back is completely covered, and it's really warm like this. And I still have lots and lots of fabric up here, so my neck is also really warm. I can even pull it up and wear it like a hood, which is something my sister likes to do in winter. So she's really warmly packed and everything. Yeah, so that's the Viajante, pattern by Martina Behm. Very easy to knit and fantastic to wear. And she called it the Viajante, the traveler, because she says it's perfect to have one of these with you when you travel, because you can wear it so many different ways and it's so versatile. Yeah, and as I'm standing anyway, this is the Gemini pullover that we knit as a knit-along on this channel years ago, I think. And I think it's called Gemini because it has a different, the back is different to the front, but the neckline is the same, so I can wear it the other way around. And I think the last time I wore it on the video, I wore it the other way around. And I think so. I didn't check, but I think so. I think the first time I wore it like this, and then the second time I turned it around. So I thought the third time I'll wear it this way again. I knit it out of a pure cotton, the Catania that I have here in my shop, and I used one color for the upper part and then the other color for the lower part. They're both variegated yarns, and I did a bit of a, I mixed them up a little bit for the transition from one color to the other. And yeah, I think this was a pattern on knitty.com, but all my knit-alongs are free patterns, so I will have it linked under the video if you're interested in the pattern. Yeah, so much to what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. I have one proper finished object for today, and then yeah, I think I'll start with the one from last week. So last week I showed you the 2 Worlds socks that I knit for my sister, and I said I was going to undo one of the toes and re-knit it, and then I'll show it to you again. So that's what I did. Yeah, 2 Worlds. The pattern is 3 Worlds. It was a bonus pattern in this year's Sock Madness. And if you look at the bag, it has this fairly simple pattern for the sole, but with the first sock you can see that from the end of the color work pattern to the end of the sock, it's a fairly short way. And if you look at this now, you can see that this has grown. So in a way the socks are a bit asymmetrical now, but once my sister wears them, it doesn't really show. And if I hold the fish like this, they look quite okay. So what I did is I unraveled the little toe that I had knit until the point where the color work stopped, and then I re-knitted. And the only difference that I did is that with this sock, because it was already so long, I did the decreases in every round. So it's a rather quick decrease, but it really fit for this sock. But for this sock I then decided to always put one round of knit stitches in between. So I knit one round, I did a decrease round, I knit one round, did a decrease round. So the angle of the decreases changed. So from, I'll show you this side, from here to here it's every round, and then it's every other round. But because I have the sock blocker in there, so if I push the sock blocker down, you can see it more clearly. So this is a very steep decrease, and then it changes. But my sister's not going to look at the socks without her foot in it, I think. So, and once she wears it, just like the sock blocker evens things out, it'll be the same if she wears the socks. And now they have the right length. She tried them on, they fit her perfectly, and she's really looking forward to getting the socks. And now that the weather is slowly getting colder, I'm pretty sure she's going to start wearing them very quickly. So now completely finished. And the other finished object is my Mystery Knit-along Gnome by Sarah Shearer. He's Gnock, and he was the second gnome to use self-striping yarn, and I showed you the hat and 2 mystery pieces last week, and since then we received all the clues, and I finished all the pieces that I hadn't knit before, and I think it's not a mystery anymore because all the clues are out, but just in case you haven't finished knitting and you don't want to see him, you have to look away now. But you've probably seen him in the thumbnail of the video. Anyway, this is my new mystery knit-along gnome Gnock. And I thought these were going to be arms, but these are actually his legs. One of my friends predicted they were going to be legs, but I think nobody imagined that Gnock was going to wear socks. So he is wearing hand-knitted, self-striping socks with a contrast color toe, heel and cuff. And I think this is so funny. Had I finished the nose last week? I can't remember. But then the last clue included the beard and also the socks. And I thought when I finished the body, so the body was knit from here to here. And I imagined if the hat came on top, he would be like very huge. But then what we did is we pulled the hat over the body. So usually when we finish a gnome body, the nose is up here and then we have the beard. But this time we pulled the hat. So the hat itself doesn't really have any stuffing except for the stuffing that's in the body. So he's constructed in a different way than usual. There's more knitting to be done because this is a double layer of knitting, but fair enough. It just makes him look so adorable, so that's okay. The beard was more work than usual because we not just only knitted the beard, but we picked up stitches around the long edges to make it look nicer. And yes, the beard looks really nice this way. It was just quite a bit of work. Yeah, I love him. I think he's fantastic. Some people who knitted this mystery gnome added arms. They just knit arms from... They just either improvised them or knitted them from other gnome projects. I don't know, but that's a good idea too. One Gnock that I saw on in the Ravelry group actually wore gloves, which was so funny. I know which gnome that was taken from, but I just knit him as per pattern, nothing added, and I'm really happy how he looks. So the legs are just simply attached underneath the body, and then you can sit him down on a shelf or on a table and he can dangle his legs. He can sit like cross-legged, or he can put one foot up like this. It makes the sock more visible. Yeah, I really enjoy him. I have to add him to the Finish Object thread on Sarah Shearer's in her Ravelry group for a chance to win something, but yeah, I'm already a winner because I have this beautiful new gnome. Yeah, so much for finished objects. Yeah, I have one finished object today and one new cast on. I didn't really want to cast on something until I've finished more projects, but there was another good reason to start something. And but I'm still trying to finish projects. And because I'm trying to do that, I did not knit on most projects the way I usually do. I usually try and work on as many projects as possible to show you a lot of projects, but right now I have so many things on my needle that I knit on a little more than half of them, so I could concentrate on them a little more, and I left all the others. And I don't know, maybe this week I'm going to knit on the other half, or maybe I'll concentrate on finishing more than one project. I don't know yet, we'll see. But as for works in progress, I started the second of the shorty socks with the neon contrast color that I'm knitting for my nephew. So this was the first sock, and I was using this neon orange in the beginning, round the heel and round the toe. And I started the second sock again with the neon color. I knit the little cuff, and then I started the heel and I did the first round or half round of the neon color, and I'm on the first half of the heel. Didn't finish it, but I thought maybe it was quite interesting to see. I knit those socks on the mini circular needles just because they're very plain, and I like plain knitting on the mini circulars, but I do prefer to knit the heel either on a big circular needle or on my double points, and right now I'm using the double pointed needles in the same size as the mini circular. So right now I have 3 needles in there, and I use those 2 to knit the the heel. Yeah, so won't get finished this week, very sure about that. But I'm very happy I started the second sock. That's always an important step for me. And I did not knit on any of the other socks, not the surprise Sockalong Color Opportunity socks by Stephen West. I did not knit on the Bellflower sock, and I did not knit on the double face socks with the cute little snails in them. So the next project is the double two-color brioche hat that I'm knitting out of the beautiful book that I showed to you some weeks ago. And I just added a few rounds, nothing major. But yeah, I just try and knit on it every now and then so that it will slowly grow. I don't even know how many centimeters I want to knit before I start the decreases. But this takes quite a bit of time, so I'm not in a hurry, and I will look up the number of centimeters in time. I'm pretty sure I won't accidentally knit it too long. And now I already come to my new project, because it's another sock weight yarn little project. And what do I show you first? I got a new book. I'll start with the book. So the Stiebner Verlag, who also sent me the other book with the stitches and the ocean that I showed you, where I knit the hat from, they now also sent me a book about socks and gloves. And I forgot to check whether there's an English version of that book. Let me just quickly see if I can find out very quickly. This does not say that it's a translation. So, oh, this seems to be a German book. So I don't know if it's available in any other language. It's called Bunte Socken und witzige Handschuhe stricken. So that means knitting colorful socks and funny gloves. It's by Andrea Konken. Yeah, and this is what it looks like. So it has colorwork socks and colorwork gloves or mittens. I keep forgetting which are the ones without the fingers. So these are the ones without the fingers, and these are some more of the projects in the book. They are very, very funny. So some of the motifs are used both for gloves and for the socks. So these are, I think these are all the gloves or mittens. And then some of the patterns are also used for socks and some aren't. And some of the sock patterns are not used for gloves. So that's quite interesting. So you can knit something sort of with the same pattern. So the cats are, you can either knit the gloves or you can knit socks. But then for other patterns, you can only knit one of them. There's a bit of explanation how to do the knitting. So these are some more of the socks, and these axolotl socks, which are called Socke, which I think is so funny. This is a pattern that's only in the socks, not in the gloves. And where are there's a sheep pattern that you can knit for both, but then the owls are only available for the gloves or mittens. So these are the owls. I think they are so sweet. And then the sheep, as I said, are available for both. The cats are available for both. So I really, really like the patterns and the motifs that she chose. And they are very detailed. The instructions are written quite clearly. You have big charts, which I think is so much easier to follow, especially for color work, than written instructions. The only thing that I have a little bit of a problem with is the fact that she uses a whole lot of stitches. And she writes in the book that she likes to knit with many stitches. She says using a lot of stitches gives her the opportunity to work more details into her pictures. But for me, it makes it really difficult to knit something that fits. So all her socks are knit with 80 stitches. And I think I never ever knit socks with 80 stitches. And I think part of the reason is, as she says, she wants to have more stitches to get the pictures in. but also probably because she either knits very tightly or her floats are not very long, so she needs more stitches to put things on and take them off. But I think if the floats are too tight and you have a lot of stitches to get into the sock, it can still be too big. So I'm not quite sure how to go about that. And I think if I wanted to knit socks out of the book for myself, I would probably change the chart. I would probably take away stitches from the back of the sock to get a full motif on it. But I would have to use fewer stitches for myself, even if I use tiny needles. And I'm not so fond of using tiny needles. I just think it would be too big for me. If you knit your socks, I have a friend who always knits her socks on 80 stitches. For her, this book will just be perfect. But for other people, you have to see how you can handle that. So if you like to have color work things with more stitches, fine, then that's perfect for you. If you don't, you have to make it work somehow. Now the yarn, I'm not knitting socks right now. I started knitting one of the gloves or mittens, and the yarn that I'm using is a yarn that I have never knit with before, and I bought that during my last holiday. And it wasn't even a yarn shop. We were in a shop that was selling lots of different things, and in one of the like huge bowls that she had, there were several balls of yarn in there. And at first I wasn't quite sure whether it was decoration or whether she was actually selling it. And it was this yarn. It's called Einband by Lopi. And I've used the Alaphus Lopi and the Let Lopi. And I've bought the unspun yarn, that's called something else. I haven't knit with it yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And I knew that there was also the Einband by Lopi, which is like a fingering weight yarn, as in the yardage being, what's the yardage? It should say somewhere. It has 250 meters for 50 grams. It's even a bit thinner than normal fingering weight yarn. And they had 3 colors. They had these 2 colors and green, and I'm not such a big fan of dark green. So, and they only had 1 ball in the blue, and it didn't even have a ball band. But I still bought it, and I bought one of the gray. And I was thinking of knitting gloves or mittens with this yarn when I bought it. And then when I got the book, I thought that's the perfect combination. Because this is fairly fine yarn, I thought it should be okay to use really thin needles. So I'm now again knitting with 2.0 needles. I already used the needles to knit the socks for my sister, the 2 world socks. And I started knitting the cat gloves or mittens. And so I started with the ribbing, which I did a bit shorter than in the pattern. And then this is going to be the palm of the hand. At some point, I'll start the thumb increases. And this is going to be the back of the hand with the cats. And this is actually the first foot of the first cat. So you can't see a lot yet, but it's quite fun. And she uses 72 stitches for all the gloves or mittens, which I think, again, is a lot. But as I am using this thin yarn and very fine needles, I hope it's going to fit. I told my sister if they turn out too big, I'll knit her a lining out of alpaca or something, because the yarn is not really the softest, which for color work is perfect because the yarn will just stick together, and if you drop a stitch, it won't move anywhere. But it is a bit hard on the hand while you're knitting it, but it's okay, and I know this is going to soften up once I wash it. So far the size looks really good. Not small, but not too big. And just to remind you what the gloves look like, let me try and show you the picture without showing you the pattern. So there are simple stripes on the palm of the hat until you get to the footprint, and I've just started knitting this bit of the cat's foot and leg. Yeah, so new book. Very nice. I will check out if there's an English version. If so, I will link it underneath. If not, I will just link the German book because they're all color work and they're all charted. So, and you can see the numbers in the text. You can see how many stitches to cast on. She always uses fewer stitches for the cuff and then increases to the full number of stitches after the ribbing. And I think you can read the charts no matter what language you speak. Yeah, so that's the new project. Then I'll continue with some more older projects, and I'll continue with the square that I'm knitting for Viva Vittoria, for this organization who work against violence against women. And I'm using this 8-ply opal yarn to knit a fairly simple square, and I just cast on just any number of stitches and I knit it in garter stitch until this strip of knitting was 50 centimeters long, and I've reached that. So I cast off the stitches. That's where I cast off until I only had one stitch left, and then I turned it round and I picked up stitches on one of the sides of my square, and now I'm knitting this way, and I will knit until the whole square is 50 centimeters long in this direction. So now it's 50 centimeters wide and it's going to be 50 centimeters long, and then I'll have a perfect square. This bit is less than 25 centimeters, so I won't have two perfect halves for my square. This is going to be a bit narrower than this bit, but I think that's okay. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. It just needs to be 50 centimeters square. So that's what it's going to be. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the colors are going to look now that I'm knitting with more than double the stitches that I had before. Yeah, so really happy about that. And I am pretty sure that 150 gram ball of yarn is not going to be enough. I weighed this, so it's already less than half, and I haven't knitted half of the square yet. So I will have to start the second one, but I will not use everything of that. So there might be a nice project for the leftover yarn in my future somewhere. So that was that. Now on to clothes. I again did not touch the Mamaki dress, and I did not continue on the skirt because I still haven't found the right beads. And I'm not going to show any shawl today because I did not knit on either the Abloom or the Goff's Place shawl last week. But I did knit on the Lanatus pullover, and that's the color work pullover that I've been knitting for quite a while now, with the solid color as the main color, and then one of the Hundertwasser colorways for the contrast color. And I have finished the second sleeve. Right now I can't remember which sleeve I knit first. I think this was the first sleeve, and I've now finished the second one. So I think I told you last week that I had knit a few rounds before the holidays, but then I didn't take it with me on holiday, so I didn't show it last week. But now that both sleeves are finished, I'm really, really happy, and I'm looking forward to continuing with the front and back. As I'm fairly small, this is already fairly long, but I do want it a bit longer, and I still have a little yarn left of the colorful yarn. So far I've used up 81 grams of the colorful yarn. I still have 19 grams left, and I do want to knit them into the front and back. And once that's gone, I will only knit with the main color, and depending on how far I get, I will probably go straight into the ribbing, no matter how long the pullover is. And then I'll just have to see how long I want the ribbing to be, depending on how long the pullover will be once I finish with the color work. Yeah, so really happy that this is coming together nicely. And now that the weather is getting colder, I'm looking forward to wearing that pullover. And then the next pullover that I continue knitting on is the Vinahop by Nicola Susan from Nicolor. And I finished the second 50 gram ball of yarn with this project, so I've now put in a really long cable well, actually it's 2 cables that I put together, but I put in this long needle so I can always try it on if I want to. And I've put in a short circular needle I've picked up the first sleeve stitches, and now I can start knitting the sleeve. And yeah, looking forward to seeing that come, to see that pullover grow. Yep, and then the third garment that I actually worked on is the black cardigan, summer cardigan, which really should get finished now. For the last few days that might still be a bit warmer. And I finished the knitting in the cardigan, so all I had to do was finish the second front, so I did that. It's really difficult to show, but I have the ribbing now for both pieces. Now the next step that I want to do is crochet around this edge and work in some buttonholes, and then I'm going to wash it and block it, and fairly severely, so that the lace pattern opens up and that I know what size I've reached. And then once it's washed and blocked, then I'm going to sew the 2 seams, and then hopefully this is going to be a finished object next week. And maybe the week after I can still wear it. If it gets too cold, I'll just wear something really warm underneath. Even it's a bit crazy to wear a cotton pullover on top of something warm, but I probably won't mind. We'll see. And maybe I'll get lucky and the weather was going to get a bit warmer again. Yeah, so that's that. And that brings me to the crochet along that we're doing, where we crochet spiral granny squares, and I am working on this really colorful granny square that was in the beginning was a leftover project where I crocheted lots of leftover balls of yarn into it, but then I ran out of leftover yarns that had sort of these colors, and I picked out this Hundertwasser colorway, which was inspired by this piece, this picture, artwork, whatever. And I thought these colors really go well with all the colors that are already in the square. And I think I've crocheted something like 2 or 3 rounds with this new color. And I am going to crochet the whole ball of yarn into this square. And then I will decide whether it's big enough or whether I need to add some more yarn. And what I want to do is I want to wear it as a triangular shawl, and you can see it's nowhere near big enough yet. So we'll see how far I get with 100 grams, and then I can decide what to do next. Yeah, so that was everything that I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!